Mike Preisner, welcome to Democracy Now! Thank you for joining us from Portland, Oregon. If you can start off by responding to these two attacks. Both men were in the military. You have Leibelsberger, a Green Beret, and you have Jabbar, who was in the military for more than a decade, now a military veteran. Talk about what took place on New Year's, Mike.
The main thing that links them is the fact that military service is now the #1 predictor of becoming what is called a mass casualty offender, surpassing even mental health issues as a profiler. You know, there are many different consequences of having a massive military empire, the biggest humanity has ever seen, both in its sheer size, its expanse around the world, one that is constantly engaged in endless and morally indefensible wars around the world. And one of those consequences is the violence abroad coming back against people at home. Leibelsberger, of course, his career was one of killing. And then, you know, the New Orleans attacker says he was inspired by ISIS. The mass killing ideology of ISIS. ISIS would not exist were it not for the U.S. military's complete destruction of Iraq and mass killing of innocent people. You know, America in general, of course, has a mass violence problem. Mass shootings happen quite regularly, more than once a day on average. And that the reasons for that are linked to U.S. militarism, both in that kind of cultural domination of a country that glorifies violence and exports violence, but more so a government that is presiding over a country with deep and extreme social problems, which it refuses to address while having a blank and endless check for militarism abroad and an ever-increasing budget for the military-industrial complex. And so this gives rise to an extreme amount of social problems in our society that are rooted in things like alienation and inequality and desperation and despair and hopelessness. And then so the U.S. military comes in and for the purposes of recruitment must target people who are most impacted by those social problems. They bring them into an institution where they train them to kill. They train them that killing is actually quite honorable and quite cool. It sends many of those people to kill abroad. You know, it has a notoriously, very notorious for ruining people's mental health and a mental health system that makes people's mental health problems even worse, and then spits them back out into a society where people find their lives harder than when they join. That's kind of why I think that has become a #1 predictor of becoming a mass casualty offender, is all of those consequences.